Appreciate the audience. It's an action-packed evening, so we're going to get started. We apologize for going a little late. We've had some good discussions upstairs in our work session, and we're looking forward now to more good things. If we could all start off, why don't you join us in a flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening.
I think it was on.
Hello? Hello? Thank you. Technology is not my activities can and often do support academics. Studies have shown that students who participate in school-based co-curricular activities tend to have higher grade point averages, better attendance, lower dropout rates, and fewer discipline problems. Athletics participation provides valuable lessons, promotes health and well-being, and fosters future success. Many state champions have emerged from the Hillsboro School District during the 2016-17 school year, including Ethan Wendell from Liberty High School's wrestling team, Liberty High School's bowling team, which includes Brianna Bunch, Melissa Rasmussen, Brittany Warden, Olivia Cuff, Anastasia Bird, and Malika Kincaid. And Hillsboro High School's 7-man swim team, including Matthew Arnold, Mitchell Morrison, Dylan Fisher, Caden Springer, Matthew Petticourt, Nathan Laxton, and Robert Ellis. Ethan Wendell, taking top honors in his 138-pound weight class during the 6A championships, had a phenomenal, undefeated season, beating 3 previous state wrestling champions and winning the Research Tournament of Champions. He was also the only state champion from the Metro League this year. Ethan, would you like to stand up? Is he here? Not here? This is the first time the Liberty High School girls bowling team has taken first place in the state competition. The grueling 2-day tournament with almost 40 games played did not stop the girls from bowling an exceptional 181 average in their final game, earning the top spot in the 6A championship. Girls, would you like to stand up? Are they here? The Hillsboro High School swim team not only took the title, seizing the 5A state championships with an accumulation of points earned, but also had championship winners in the 100-yard backstroke. Is that yards or meters? 100-yard backstroke, the 200 free relay, and the 400 freestyle relay. And the finalists in all events. Please stand up. In addition to recognizing these student athletes for their accomplishments, the board would also like to recognize the coaches' efforts as well. Hillsboro High School swim team coaches Fred Anderson, Kevin Clear, Jackie Arnold, and Christina Morrison. Please. Liberty High School's bowling team coaches Tom Teff, Russ Perini, and Scott D'Amico. And Liberty High School's wrestling team coach, Eric Gibbons. You here? Well, let's give all our athletes. We'd like you to come forward and take a picture, please. All of you together.
Came all the way over here. Let's take a picture.
Everybody together?
Everybody, you're
You can go
there.
ahead and do it and wave.
Okay.
You guys can't sneak into any place with those medals on, can you? All right, get friendly, get tight. Only got so much room in here. All right. That's good.
Come on, Mom and Dad.
Nice. One more. All right. Thanks, guys. Congratulations. All right.
And the girls bowling team and their coaches?
You don't. That's you. I know.
I heard there are scholarships in bowling and golf.
I want to stand up for his room.
I'm all on my go first.
All right. One, two, one more, one. Awesome.
Thank you for your effort and your achievement. Thank you very much.
All right. Very exciting. Thank you so much for coming. We have a thrilling agenda we're looking forward here. And the next item up is the approval of that agenda. This, however, would be the appropriate time if any cared to exit instead of budget.
You can watch
No
the tape
harm, no
later.
foul.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Start walking.
Quite a crowd.
It's always that hope that Okay. With that, we do have another full agenda, so we are going to keep moving. And first off, I would be looking for an approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second?
We have moved by Glenn, seconded by Janine to approve the agenda as printed. Any questions or comments? Okay. Those in favor of approving the agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. The agendas are posted in the back, if anyone else is interested, follow along. Okay, next up we have audience time. I do have one request for audience, or for audience participation. I will read the standard audience participation statement that governs participation in board meetings. Public participation in board meetings is governed by policy BDDH. Patrons may comment on specific agendas at the beginning of the meeting, or at the discretion of the board chair may be deferred to a time the item is before the board as stated in the agenda. Comments about non-agenda items will be heard during audience time at the beginning of regular board meetings, and speakers shall be limited to 3 minutes. Also, speakers may offer objective criticisms of school operations and board and programs that are of concern to them. However, in public sessions, the board will not hear personal complaints of school personnel nor against any person connected to the school system. Other channels provide for board consideration and disposition of legitimate complaints involving individuals, including board policy KL, KOB public complaints. With that, I just wanted to remind there are board agenda cards in the back. You're welcome to turn in to our board secretary, Bob Bachma, during the time. As I mentioned, I only have one. I was stalling a little bit because it was requested to go last, but the item is for Christy Kotke. Is she here?
No, I was going to be the only.
First and last.
That's probably a blessing. I'm Christy Kottke. I've been a teacher in the district for about 20 years. Do I need to say my address?
No.
Oh, it's a mod for mod.
Uh,
27, 27.
We've been revised instructions indicating that it's available, but does not need to be.
I worked last year on a project where I had the opportunity to go into our secondary schools and talk with over 1,000 kids about what they'd like to see more of and what was working for them. From that, we learned that a lot of what we're already doing in Hillsboro School District is what kids are needing, and we learned that some of those things we just need to expand and do more of. But there are also some things that we learned that we could maybe offer that we aren't for groups of kids. One of which was an innovative program that we tried at Glencoe High School this year that Monty Akers has been a big part of, called Math Warriors. And I'm going to talk about that at a different time, just more specifically about how that impacted those kids. But the leadership from OSP was fantastic in pushing to say, what can we do and what do we need to do, and we've got you. Like, let's try this, what do you need? We have leadership at Glencoe that said, let's go, and have supported us really the whole way through. And we've had quite a success with these kids about that. We've also had some kids that didn't find success, but even in that, we were able to look at that and learn and grow. And in 20 years in the district, I started here with Mary Ann Barnikoff, who hired me, and she was a principal that said, let's be bold and let's try some new things. And when we said, well, how about this? No one's doing it. And she said, let's do it. Let's try it. This is what our kids need. Let's see how it goes. And that kind of leadership and the leadership that we have here now, with that kind of emphasis, I think is where we really need to spend our time. But I wanted to ask the board today, with all this coming up with the budget, if they would consider changing the conversation about class size. And we know that if class size cannot get down to the low 20s, we don't see a correlation in improved achievement. And that's a really hard thing to admit. It's hard for teachers to want to admit. I'm a teacher myself. My husband has large class sizes, and he and I have had these discussions. He gave up a prep this year to bring class sizes down in Evergreen by a couple kids. And he now has a second period that's 23 kids, and all of his class sizes were lowered. There's been really no change in his kids' achievement, and actually his most challenging class, he would tell you if he were here tonight, is his class of 23. On the flip side of that, when I taught at Liberty, I had 40 boys in the Engineering Academy teaching freshman English. And I will tell you that, and it was most of the football team, when my was sound and when I was passionate about what I was doing, there was nothing better than having 40 boys on task doing an activity. So between the two of us, we really learned that to really impact our kids, what worked better for Kevin was something as simple as having an instructional coach who came in 2 times and was able to observe and notice a pattern of what he was doing in his classroom, alert him to that, and then he has made a shift this year in his teaching. We have an autistic son, or else he'd be here tonight. He's babysitting, but he will tell you that that has had more impact for him than lowering his class size by 1 or 2 or even 10, as we did with the second period. You can walk into Liberty High School today, and you can walk into a biology classroom that's packed shoulder to shoulder, and those kids have told me they are connected to that teacher, they are challenged in that class, the teacher finds a way to make an individual contact with each one of them. So there are some real great examples. I'm not advocating for high class sizes, but what I'm advocating for is spending that money on things that I've been able to see finally in a different role, which I never saw as a teacher and wouldn't see as a parent, things that are really making a direct impact on our teachers and our kids. One of which is instructional coaches and our use of our TOSAs. My husband has changed the way he teaches math in his science class because of things on Kelly Petrick's Twitter page. So a simple change in how she's getting information out to teachers has changed what he's doing in his classrooms. That is a very cost-effective use of something that's making a change for years to come. The co-teaching models that we fund FTE for. Not only does it invigorate, there are a couple teachers at Evergreen that are renewed from that because of the support they get from the teacher with them, but also better teaching is happening for our kids because of a use and a shift in how that money's used. So instead of lowering the class size, allowing that co-teaching. The program that we have in place, one of the biggest things I heard from kids in the needs assessment was, we want college and career, we need to know what we're doing. We need to know how this connects. We want classes that connect with what we want. And so the college and career pathways that we've been developing is resonating with kids. I would love to see money continue to go towards that because, again, class size isn't going to get kids ready for college and career pathways, which is what they're asking for. using a college and career person at Glencoe who's having kids come to her for scholarships, who's taking kids to colleges. That's a use of money that is a huge ripple effect. The grad coach, if you've never shadowed Lauren Cooley, she's a part-time worker on a classified pay, and she has literally taken 20 to 30 kids this year that I can guarantee you would not be graduating, and some, not all, but some of those kids will be graduating because of the impact she has. That's not just with her kids, that's with the community, that's with the people she works with at the school, that's facilitating conversations with teachers and kids. It's just a wealth of things that she does. Great use of time. Am I out of time? Okay. I had a few more things, but so all right. I'm never here, so I thought maybe I could have one more minute. But it's I would love to see more conversations with the community about, oh, I'm sorry we can't reduce size, and change that conversation to tell them why we aren't and why instead we are funding programs like this that are having an impact. So thank you, and thank you for all you do. I appreciate just learning from Monty. I said he's like deep undercover in the math Voyagers as a school board member, but just learning what he's done on the school board, which again, as a teacher, I never really knew what the school board was doing because I was busy in my classroom. So I do appreciate the time and the passion that you have and how much you're out in the community and the buildings. That was an extra minute, but that was just for me. Yes.
Just ask if you could email that, because you have more. So can you email that to there's like schoolboard@hsc.k.
Oh, sure, yes. I've been encouraged in my emails, Mike will know, occasionally my emails tend to be, I was a language arts teacher, so like essays, so I've been encouraged to use...
Wayne's gonna appreciate it.
I was encouraged to use bullets, so I'll try to find a happy medium, but yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm famous for my lengthy emails, so I appreciate receiving it. Very good. That, with no other requests for board discussion, or for community discussion, we will move to our next item. And first up, Mike, looks like the Bond Advisory Committee.
So just for those people that weren't in the work session prior to this meeting, we did go over this in depth, so I'm just going to hit the highlights. What we're looking at here is we've had a bond advisory committee in effect since October, and during that time they have met 6 times, and the idea there is that we would begin to narrow down the needs for a bond, and what we would do if we had a bond. You'll see the items on the screen. The bond advisory committee then made a recommendation to me regarding what that bond package would look like, and the recommendation came forward that we would go forward with a bond that would maintain or renew the current rate of $2.24 per thousand. That would generate $408 million that would be used to tax some of those items that you see on the list in front of you there. Just as a reminder, we've gone over this in the work session, and we'll be looking at this to have action taken on May 23rd. So just wanted to put that on everyone's radar. We'll be acting on this on May 23rd. Prior to taking action, the official board meeting, we will have a work session item which clearly illustrates what that means, what we're all getting into if we take this on. So, and that's at Kim's request. So that'll be coming May 23rd, and be happy to answer any questions.
There's a good discussion about it, so. Okay, very good. Next up, financial report, Adam.
Yes, included in your packet is the financial report for this month. Highlights for us right now are budget, obviously. That's a big focus for us, along with preparation for the annual audit. We have our first round of field work coming up in May. So those are the 2 big areas. We're starting to focus in on the end of the school year with all the payrolls that come with June and all of the end of the year things that happen. So those are what we've been focused on. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the written report, but that's what we're up to. Well, I would say the one exciting thing that we're working on is a consolidated budget workbook. Generally, when budget and staffing time comes, principals get kind of inundated with different budget reports that we ask them to complete, staffing reports we ask them to complete. This year, we're trying to consolidate all that into a single document that we can share electronically. We've been working closely with HR to put all that together. So Michelle Morrison's been spearheading that along with the HR team. So it's been, I think it's going to be a good thing.
Any questions?
Tort report, did
Yes,
we get that? Have we got it?
we did.
We're doing that quarterly,
Oh, okay.
is what our plan
Okay.
is, to give you an update on a quarterly basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you did receive the first one?
Yeah, that was about a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good, thank you. Policy first readings, TRAPS, policy LGA, compliance with standards.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Just a quick OSBA recommended updates to policy LGA, which is meant to bring it in line with current legislative requirements. Just basically maintain the fact that we can submit a waiver to the State Board of Education if we're not in compliance with any of our Division 22 requirements. As you know, the only time that we've done that is to notify the ODE that we are not on cycle in terms of the 7-year cycle for a couple of different content areas for our curriculum adoption. So each year when I update the board regarding our Division 22 assurances, we're always in compliance with all the requirements statutorily that the state put out for us. And in my tenure, we've never asked for a waiver for any other reason. You may know that the superintendent of the Department of Education, Salon Nor, allowed districts to waive certain seat time requirements or hours due to the inclement weather this winter, but we have chosen not to do that. We're well within the time that we need to instruct our students. So, happy to answer any questions. All right, a second one. First reading of policy IIA, instructional resources and instructional materials. Again, this is an OSBA recommendation to reflect current legislative requirements. And this one is regarding the cycle with which we determine our materials to be free of bias. You can see the listed protected classes of students and human beings. There in the third paragraph, and the fourth, it talks about establishing a timeline for the regular determination that our textbooks and instructional materials are within those guidelines. And I just want to share with the board that in terms of accessible instructional materials, that's something that we address every time we recommend a curriculum for adoption. But with our Student Services Department, we also look at AIM, or accessible instructional materials requirements on a student-by-student basis. Additionally, at the bottom, the last paragraph talks about supplementary materials and library resources. We need to have a procedure in place to select appropriate materials, and we have a person assigned to that. Len Bryan is our district media specialist. He works with our principals and library specialists to work from a list of materials that meet the criteria and that are valuable in terms of the way they match our curriculum, etc. So happy to answer any questions about that, but this is just to bring us in compliance with how the statute has been updated. What?
Yeah, I have a problem with the way it's written, because if we take out bias, if we're going to censor material that's biased, we're going to have 2 books and 3 magazines in our library. I mean, I think everything's got bias in it. So who's going to make that decision?
I think in this context, when I've talked to Lynn about, for example, the list of books that are appropriate for purchase and shelving in our libraries, it's really about non-discrimination in terms of bias. I don't think that we're cleansing our libraries of things that have like a political slant, like the history of a political party in the United States. It's more like, am I as a student of a certain race reading a book that puts my race down and therefore makes me feel like less of a student in the school that I'm going to? it's that type of bias that I think that we're talking about here, rather than slant, like a political slant or cultural assumptions that show up in literature and nonfiction.
Well, I'm just thinking books like Huckleberry Finn. I mean, that was, you know, oratory towards Black Americans. Is that going to be not accessible to our students now?
I hear you. No, it's I haven't heard of any like censorship of classic literature based on that in this as part of this conversation. In fact, I think that this is designed to kind of protect against that. Does that make sense?
I guess from the reading of it, it doesn't appear that way to me. So is there any way we can rewrite that so that it appears that way?
And any recommendations?
We didn't change anything.
Yeah, we should.
Right. We didn't add any language.
These are just OSB recommendations, right? That are in line with the law.
No, I understand that. I think they've done a poor job here as far as describing bias, because any writer is going to have a bias. And then any reader is going to have a bias. And we're asking teachers to teach our students how to critically think, take both sides of the issue, read something and say, hey, that doesn't sound right, find an opposing viewpoint.
Yep.
So if I read
Sometimes we want to
this...
expose bias, we actually want to bring it up.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I can go back and ask some questions about where this language came from and maybe see if there are some alternatives. I could reach out to you and figure out what word resonates better. Something that's more directed at non-discrimination rather than bias as a target. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like these are protected classes, as you'd mentioned before. So if we took it non-discrimination, that might provide additional clarity.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, because I can see magazines, I mean, look at all the magazines we have in our libraries. I mean, National Review, Times, they've all got bias one way or another.
Okay.
So I think that's what we're trying to teach our kids. You read an article and then you get the opposing view, and then you think about both sides of the issue, pros and cons.
So maybe I'll work with Val to figure out some other proposed language and then publish that back to the board.
Yeah, let's see what we can do without losing the intent of the entire piece here. We of course don't want to do that. If we can provide clarity, we'd be happy.
Go ahead.
Yeah, when you were speaking, actually, just before you said Huckleberry Finn, that was the kind of thing with classic literature that actually was coming to my mind as well. So those are where my concerns are mostly. That, there's kind of a boundary because in school you do want those opposing viewpoints. You don't want to be completely incendiary at the same time. So there's got to be some kind of balance in there in the middle that protects, but also exposes those things so that we can actually talk about it. So I do think that we need a little bit of work on language as well.
Lisa?
I'm a huge fan of classic literature, and I always read classics to my kids. Whenever we do read-alouds, I pull them from classic book lists. So just that being said, I also noticed that there are a plethora of ORS links at the bottom of this policy. So I do want to make sure that we are maintaining compliance with the law of the state of Oregon, since there are so many applicable ORS links at the bottom. So please make sure whatever language we do propose is in line with that. Obviously.
I'll go back to OSBA and figure out where the origin of the language is. I also do want to let the board know that when we do a curriculum adoption and we're screening for bias, we sit down with our group, including teachers and students, sometimes depending on the level, and we go through textbooks and figure out even the graphic representation of students. Do we see bias? That could be, the way that folks are stereotyped in terms of their professions when they show up in a science textbook, or how are students with special needs portrayed or not within the text. And so that's the intent of this type of law, the way that we interpret it as our job. So just for what it's worth, that's where it's headed. Very good. Thank you. Adam, animals and district facilities.
Yes, animals in district facilities. This is another Oregon School Boards Association recommended revision to the policy to more narrowly define the types of animals that are allowed in our schools, and it's now designated as only service animals serving persons with a disability and animals approved by the superintendent or designee. So I think earlier it talked about comfort animals or more broadly, and now it's defined more narrowly as service animals assisting a person with disability.
So on here, it basically says all animals, but then say plus those approved by the superintendent. So then.
Or designate.
Or designate.
So most likely principal.
So like for instance, a science class or whatever that has fish in the room, technically they'd have to get the principal or whomever's the designee for this.
Correct.
But do they have to do that today? I mean, that seems kind of, it's pretty routine to have animals, small animals in the class as part of the learning.
We try to avoid them as much as we can. We honestly do. We invite them into the classroom, but not usually to live in the classroom.
Just to respond, and the reason is because I know I've heard in some cases in an elementary school where there was student allergies and severe allergies, so really had to leave it to a authority to give the permission.
This tends to be in conflict with our integrated pest management.
Yeah, which is a fun read.
So how does it?
That's a fun read.
The statement was a blanket service animals only, but then as approved by designee. Is there? And then we went through the list of likely candidates, anywhere from baby chicks to lizards, whatever they might be. Is there an actual then regular method for the designee, the principal likely, to make the assessment? I mean, is there it's one thing to say don't have mixed up service animals, but then I would expect principals acting rationally would probably approve something that sounded like a reasonable educational opportunity, but then if there are legitimate concerns that causes in the first place, is there a checklist? Are they operating with what do I do when someone comes in, or is it loosey-goosey?
So former building principals, is there an AR that accompanies this with a form, a permission form or anything like that?
I don't think there's an AR. I think in general, as a principal, if somebody came and said, I want to have duckies or whatever, it would be a conversation around what's the instructional purpose, how we keep kids safe, how we communicate with families, how we making sure they're not allergies, how we cleaning up after the animals. So it's a conversation. I don't think that there's necessarily a checklist, but it's kind of on a case-by-case basis.
It sounds like then a process is used more as a verifying that the possibility is thought through well enough for an entire action plan. Not so much looking for a reason to deny, but finding the reason how the animals will be safe and taken care of and that it's appropriate for the environment that they'll be placed in. And that's compatible with
Let's do a little homework. It feels like it'd be helpful to have some type of consideration.
Honestly, it seems like if there's a policy that says no animals for some reason, and then it's really as long as they're taken care of, I don't know what the point of the policy. Honestly, I'm kind of in the scope of not sure the entire purpose of the policy.
We have students that do all sorts of. We have fourth graders that go through the whole salmon and the release and the little fish.
It also speaks though to the service animals and that kind of thing. So the policy is broader than just classroom pets. Let us work on clarifying this one too. We'll have a hamster checklist.
Can we just not have a hamster checklist? That came from me, okay?
And the footnote here says service dogs or service animals means a dog. Couldn't a child have a cat as a service animal?
No, it used to be dogs and miniature ponies were the ones.
Yeah, that's in here. Yeah.
Those were the two qualifying animals.
Okay, so if a student came with a cat, they wouldn't be able to keep it.
Yeah, so cats aren't designated as service animals.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Not trainable?
How about pig?
No judgment on cats, it's just the way.
All reporters.
Big Hillsboro School District hates cats.
I object.
Okay. Wow. First drones? We're going to approve the drone one though, so yeah. All right, let's see. The final policy, electronic communication systems. Mine is green.
So again, another first reading review for you on board policy IIPGA. Again, another one, OSB language updating. It's been a number of years since this one's been reviewed. The big add is social media in the policy, and then a block of text about including a specific column for an administrative regulation around this complicated issue. Are there any questions in the review of this one as proposed?
I assume you agree with the draft?
Yes.
Seeing no questions? Thank you, Glenn. Good. Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Next up, that completes our reports and discussions for the evening. First item up next for approval would be our consent agenda. So I would be looking for a motion to approve our consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda as printed.
I'll second.
Motion made by Kim and seconded by Glenn to approve the consent agenda. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda as published, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Drone policy.
Drones approved.
That's what I was waiting for.
Okay, action items. First up to Beth on the inter-district transfer.
I was gonna make a joke about Adam talking about a consolidated budget document as if that was so exciting, but then I realized that I was presenting on transfers. So I'll just keep my mouth shut. So as you know, House Bill 2747 dictates the second of two mechanisms by which students can transfer between districts in the state of Oregon outside of emergency hardship request. We finished our open enrollment inter-district transfer process in the month of March, and we actually have, districts have until the end of April to notify those losing districts, I guess for lack of a better word, about who they might be picking up and that home district might be leaving. So unfortunately, I don't have total numbers to tell you about students we may have lost through that process. I can tell you that, just as a reminder, the board voted to open up 75 slots in Hillsboro School District, up to 10 of which could be district-wide kindergarten slots. We did have 79 requests for students to come in, and 19 of those were kindergarten requests. So we did have to hold a lottery, which we typically don't have to do, but we did have to say no to 9 of our little friends who wanted to come in and be with us. Overall, we ended up accepting 67 because there were some issues with a couple of other requests that came in. So we ended up accepting 67 out of 75. So that played a bit of a factor in our recommendation for the House Bill 2747. What we are recommending, and again, it's just a recommendation and you are at liberty to modify this, we're recommending that we open up 30 slots with, again, up to 10 of those being district-wide kindergarten slots. And if that is something that the board agrees with, then we will reach out to those families for whom we had to say no in the open enrollment window. We just felt really strongly that we needed to stick with the guidelines that we had published and that had been approved. So you'll see how those numbers break down. It's kind of a similar process we've been using where, obviously there's more total slots than 30, but it gives that flexibility at the different buildings. We've closed a couple more buildings just based on activity that they saw through open enrollment and by principal request, that they just didn't feel that they could honor any out-of-district students at this time, but there's still a number of places to apply to. I wanted to make one other comment, which was just to let you know that apparently our two closest neighboring districts are choosing not to release any students. So it may really impact what we see through this round. And Marlene's and my hypothesis is that we'll just start seeing a lot more people trying to qualify into the emergency hardship, but we'll see. So again, just knowing that our board is amenable to wanting to provide as much flexibility and choice to families as possible. We felt like this was a pretty reasonable proposal. We're willing, we noted here that we're willing to let up to 50 students leave, but again, we've got some districts that aren't accepting or releasing, others that simply aren't releasing. So we'll see. There may not be a lot of movement during this round, but.
Kim?
Did I understand properly, if we accept up to 10 kinders in this process, we would be able to accept those students who applied for kinder and did not win the lottery?
Well, we would reach out
to
those families just to let them know that we were reopening, because when we corresponded with them to say, sorry, we had to hold the lottery, no spots, but we may open spots the next. So we would just reach out and let them know. But if they're coming from a district that's not wanting to let students leave, then they still have an issue on their hands. But if they're not, then they could apply.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any indication why our neighboring districts aren't releasing their students?
Well, my strong guess for our neighbors to the east is because they are going through a significant rebounding process and a lot of growth of their own. And so my guess is they just kind of want to minimize the complications to that whole process. Our neighbors to the west, I'm not sure. They may just be concerned about loss of enrollment.
Second question, sorry. I noticed Hillsboro Online, we're limiting them. I always thought we were trying to expand that program.
Yeah, they just, in the previous round, which was the more likely round, they only got one request for a kinder, and we don't have kindergartners there. So I could certainly bump it back up. I would hate for it to feel like a party where nobody came. And if we just have like 50 slots there and we're not getting people applying, I don't know. I just figured keep it reasonable because we're not seeing that demand through this process anyway.
Okay.
So.
Okay. No, I 10's fine if we're not getting requests.
Yeah.
I just thought.
I'm not artificially limiting them. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
So do you guys feel decent about this?
Yeah, I like it.
Very good. I would then be looking for a motion to approve.
Go ahead. I move we adopt the plan presented for inter-district transfers for the 2017-18 school year.
Yeah, I was like that.
Motion made by Monty and seconded by Glenn to approve our inter-district transfer numbers as published. Any questions or comments? Janine?
Is the headline going to say that Mike doesn't like kittens and kinders? Or is it just going to be like this?
That's catchy.
It's catchy. I'm just. I like to make the face go.
Okay. All right, seeing no significant questions, we will vote. All those in favor of approving the inter-district transfers numbers as published, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, Ted and Craig with the 2017-18 Alternative Education Programs.
I told Ted he can stay this seat. Well, thank you again for the invite. You should have in your board packet the proposal for alternative programs for 17-18 school year. They're the same as this current year and the year previous. I did want to highlight some measures that we've reached this year. Going down to the second, our GED program. Last year we had 42 students earn their GED. In the board packet, it notes 35 as of when this was printed. It's now up to 39. We believe that 50 will be our target for year end. We have 39 students currently enrolled. We've really changed maybe our delivery model a little bit, kind of the cohort model. Tiff does an outstanding job bringing kids in and assessing where their learning gaps are and getting them across the finish line. So that was one of our targets, to reach 50 students this year. We believe we'll reach that. Our fifth-year diploma program, 28 graduates. That's as of when this was printed. That was a bit of an error on my part in how we were tracking our graduates. We currently have 37 students compared to 31 last year. So that's a combination of referral from our counselors at our comprehensive high schools and my staff going out and doing home visits and recruiting students back into our school to finish their diploma. And then, of course, the other highlight would be the progress we're making towards Big Picture Learning School for next year at Miller Education Center. We currently finished our fourth evening informational night. We have had a total of 27 families attend. As of this morning, we had 24 applications. Our target is between 30 and 34 students for next year. Again, we feel we'll reach that target quite easily. Great cooperation from our 6 middle schools, and we had a conversation today with City View Charter and talking to their school counselor about the possibility of serving students that are leaving the 8th grade at City View and looking for a high school to attend. I didn't know if you have had this brochure handed out to you. You do have that?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
Okay. So I won't pass that.
Wasn't it just a handout? It wasn't like a book.
Here, whatever.
I want one, because I have a it's already.
So again, I'm open to any questions about any of the programs, what Big Picture is going to look like, where you're at with alternative ed.
Greg, I had a question about GED. Your numbers are up, and I don't know, are we doing a better job of capturing kids, or am I just noticing more GED kids because I happen to hang out with a lot of teenagers? I feel like in my circle, I'm seeing a lot of kids coming out of comprehensive and going to GED, and so I'm curious if that's a trend, or it's just because I happen to be hanging in that age group right now.
What we typically see in our GED program are students are credit deficient and struggling with attendance. So I don't see our students that are on track to graduate exploring this as an option. The increase, I think, is really in part to the way we've been assessing learning gaps and identifying and targeting where they need to be remediated and preparing them better for the exam. So I think we don't necessarily have more students enrolled in the GED program, we're just seeing better success rates.
Yeah, I'd like just to say that you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And you've got an excellent staff that takes a special person to do that kind of work. So I want to really compliment you and the staff.
Yeah, we actually have one in the audience tonight who will be teaching in the first cohort of Big Picture.
Great.
Yeah, from here. It's exciting.
It's a tough group to get engaged a lot of times, and I see your staff get them engaged, so.
Thanks for
Great. All right, with that, I would be looking for a motion to approve 2017-18 alternative education programs.
I move to approve the district's 2017-18 alternative programs.
Second.
Motion made by Kim, seconded by Janine, to approve 2017-18 alternative programs, education programs. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, Travis.
Thank you. On March 14th, I was here with Becky Kingsmith and our Santa Topar and Sandy Grinnell and Elizabeth Moore to share the recommendation for a K-8 science adoption. So, just to remind the board, we've got a fancy spiral bound report on all of our findings. Good job, Janine. And just a reminder that at grades K-6, we're talking about adopting Amplify as our core instructional materials with a kit for grade level at each elementary school and backfilling existing technology so we can have Chromebooks in each of our 6th grade classrooms. And then 2 of each unit in grade 7 and 8 of Amplify, as well as backfilling with Chromebooks to make sure we have the technology to deliver the Amplify curriculum. And just be looking for approval. Oh, I forgot to mention, I haven't gotten any questions since then or concerns from the community moving forward. So moving forward with asking you to approve the K-8 science adoption tonight.
Okay. Glenn.
I just want to say congratulations and thank you guys for all the work that's put into this. I know there was tons and tons of effort into it. And, I think it's a fabulous program and I look forward to supporting it.
Thank you very much.
I move we adopt the Amplified Science K5 and K6-8 as the core instructional materials for K-8 science.
I'll second that.
And approve the proposed complementary investments in instructional technology.
I'll second that too.
What was that? What was it?
Who's the second?
Just for this one, okay? All right, motion made by Monty, seconded by Glenn to adopt the K science instructional materials. Any further questions and comments?
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, sorry.
Can you review one more time, since we were just upstairs talking about budget cuts and now it looks like we're spending money, could you review for us one more time why we have the money to make this purchase and how it's not impacting next year's budget?
Yes, thank you, Kim. We have been saving up money over the course of 3 years. We invest roughly $400,000 per year out of our general fund toward curriculum adoption, which is a very frugal, conservative investment.
Minimal.
We could spend more. We don't. We save that money up and then we adopt. This is $1.2 million that we've saved up minus the cost of piloting and exploring materials and doing professional development along the way. So this comes in under budget for what we expected. We're ready to make that purchase. We've been waiting to make that purchase. So with your approval tonight, I'll let teachers know that their long labor has been fruitful, so they can get some new materials and technology for teaching science K-8.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Further questions? Seeing none? All. Seeing none being the operative word. Janine.
I was just curious, and I think that I had asked this last time, just to ensure that, just like we have in a day, a standard day for our students, there will be designated science time, just when you talk about the planned day. I guess that's my question. Will there be designated science time when you see reading and you see math, let's say?
And even better than that, you'll see integration of math and science and literacy and science. Yes. And that's part of our professional development plan will be to teach ourselves how to implement this science curriculum in conjunction with math and literacy. So that's the PD that we start tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Motion properly made and seconded. All those in favor of approving the K-8 science instructional materials, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Whoop, Sandy.
And last action item, approval of financing for school buses. Adam.
As a reminder, as a part of our state school fund, every year, or every month actually, we receive an allocation for replacement of school buses that we put into a separate fund to replace school buses. And over the last 5 years, we have been on a 5-year cycle to replace 10 to 12 of our school buses annually. That's both just to refresh the fleet. It's also we are under a timeline to eliminate all of the gross polluters that we have in our fleet. That's a federal term, and we are required by 2025 to have all those out of our fleet. So we are about halfway through the process of eliminating those gross polluting buses. So what you have tonight before you is a proposal to purchase, on a 5-year lease purchase, 11 new buses, 8 special needs buses, 2 conventional buses, and then 1 shop truck. And again, we have the money in our fund for school bus replacement. So I'm happy to answer questions about this.
Kim.
Sorry, got lots of questions. The mini buses, I'm curious, going to state events with small school districts, I often see the buses that only hold like 20, maybe 24 students. Are those what the propane mini buses are? Are they still the sort of more medium?
Yeah, these are the smaller buses that we use for our special education routes.
And do we ever entertain that flexibility that those smaller buses provide, especially for sports and activities? Again, I keep seeing them. So I went on a state trip with 14 students on a big bus that we couldn't afford to keep for the weekend, which meant a lot of
I don't know.
back and forth. And so I'm just curious.
I wish I had Casey here.
Well,
I don't believe we use
districts.
any of the smaller buses, primarily because they're outfitted for special needs students with lifts and those kind of things. But I will find out if we
They
ever
seem
use
like
them.
they're a little more cost effective for your small, it wouldn't work for a football team, but it would work for your smaller groups. They seem to hold about 24 students. Often the ones that I'm seeing are actually driven by a coach or activities director. They can get a commercial license because it's not a whole school bus. So that's also incredibly cost effective rather than paying a wage fee. So I was curious, when I saw the word mini buses, I got excited.
I wonder,
It might be.
as a follow-up to that, right, in our future vision of curriculum in different high schools and potentially more transportation, inter-network transportation during schools. I know I have a student that rides home 2 students on the bus from Liberty to Pointer after. Whereas you can imagine if you had a fleet of smaller vehicles that had special routes and purposes to take advantage of small team sports trips and the small trip transportation. It seems like there's opportunities for.
I will get an answer for you.
Thank you.
I have a question also. Does the purchase come with decommissioning of current fleet or trade-in value? Or
Because these are gross polluting buses, we can't give them away. I mean, we can't trade them in.
Family?
We can sell them. We cannot trade them in. So they'll be.
You can't sell them to Washington, you can't sell them to California though, because they have rules.
No, I think this would have to be to a private sale kind of situation.
But does the purchase, I mean, the removing from the fleet, that requires, I assume, actually removing the old ones from the fleet in addition to purchasing?
Right. And we actually had the question today as we were talking about this. What does it mean to decommission that bus? Do you have to actually remove that transmission, the engine? I don't know. And that's another question.
Meaning, do you have to, it's not sufficient to give it to sell it to somebody else because it didn't actually take it out of circulation? Is the requirement to actually...
That's what I'm not clear on, is if the requirement is that as a public entity, we can't operate that bus, or do those buses just need to get off the road, period, regardless of who is operating it?
Because I would wonder if the opportunity for financial value back from it, I mean, it doesn't meet our criteria for usage, but doesn't mean they have no value, and that could help balance majors and things.
So I will get you an answer on both the question about the smaller buses for athletic and activity trips and what does it mean to decommission one of these buses.
Do we have the ability?
Are they cash value? I mean, are they things that
There's
should be in the
probably
budget? I mean, we've got a budget item to pay out money for new ones.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of expectation of return on value?
There's gotta be a partridge fan.
The mini home?
If we can sell them, that's the question.
There's gotta be a partridge fan.
Okay, so was that all your thought on it? Any questions and comments from? Okay, I would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the financing of the school buses.
Is that sufficient? Do you need a dollar
Yeah,
amount?
Need to
I
actually
think he has to read the,
I
yeah.
think you might have to read the dollar amount.
think as long as we-
unlock the thing. In the total of $1,342,872.40 as presented in the packet.
No, it's like
Yeah.
a 5-year lease with the end.
That's the total amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's $268,000.
Sorry, let me read the recommendation. How's that? The superintendent recommends that so the motion is the board of directors will approve the financing of 11 vehicles on a 5-year lease with an annual payment of $268,774.48 and adopt a resolution for reimbursement as required by U.S. Bank governing these cities.
Second.
Thank you.
48 cents.
Motion made by Glenn and seconded by Monty. And translated, I hope you got a prayer in doing that translation. Thank you very much, by the way, for the excellent translation services. Any further questions and comments? That said, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Very much. That completes our action items for this evening. We just have, next up, our representatives from HCU and HEA. I don't see our regional ESDs.
Oh, he's got three markers.
Okay, and the first.
All right, Devin Hunter, Classified United. I just really wanted to talk about a recent event that we had. We had a First Book event at Witch Hazel, which, if you don't know, First Book is a nonprofit organization that is tasked with getting books into the hands of students that don't have books. This is at no cost to the students and is completely dependent on volunteers to help buy the books, to take care, to distribute the books, and do all the work of getting. Hillsboro Classified United, in partnership with AFT Oregon, was able to purchase a large number of books, and then our Melody over here, she ran to another First Book event and got a bunch more books because there's two ways that you do First Book. You either do First Book where you just pay money, and we got it to about, of the books we bought, it was about an average about $2 a book. And this is everything from, my first reading book, to activity books, all the way up to young adult books. And then there's the other option, which is where you can basically get a bunch of people to sign up to get access to their low-cost marketplace. You get enough people and they drop ship you 40,000 books. And it's just free-for-all. Now, that, I think Beaverton has done one of the 40,000 book programs, but it takes a lot of community engagement and PTAs and everything. So for us to get started for Hillsboro, we thought just HCU can put up the money up front, the school district can provide facilities, and we work with the PTA organization to get the kids there. We're going to go back to Witch Hazel, which I don't know, have we told the principal yet? Okay, we told the principal that we're going back to Witch Hazel for an upcoming science night, and we're going to try, because we had a good number of students show up, but we still have a lot of books, and we don't want the books. We want other people to have books. And we find that it's really important and really amazing when you get to tell a student, they come in, they see all these books, they're familiar with book fairs, and it's like, oh, the parent pulls out the wallet and they're like, how much is it going to cost? And when you walk up to them and says, No, these are free books. Your student gets to pick 1, 2, 3 free books, and the students light up, and the parents like, oh, thank God. And you have these really great moments of students getting really excited about reading. And our plan moving forward, once we finish with the witch hazel in the coming years, all we really need to run an event is volunteers, is for a school, for classified staff at a school to say, we want First Book to come to our school. And HCU will find a way to make it happen. But, you know, there's a lot of organizing and working with the PTAs. We really want to find those students that don't have books at home and make sure they do. So, if you want to talk to your principals or have a conversation with the classified staff, we're more than happy to try and do some charity work out in the community and see what we can do to just get better readers. So, thank you.
That's great. We're reading teachers, so that's awesome. Jill Galway, HEA president. I wanted to share a little bit of what we're doing this next month. On May 4th, Thursday, we are going to recognize the teachers that are going to be starting their 4th year of teaching in the district, and they'll be obtaining their contract status, and so it's called the contract teacher event. HEA is also hosting a phone banking opportunity at our office starting tomorrow for the school board candidates that we have recommended. There'll be 5 different phone banking opportunities. We're also gearing up for our 3rd annual 5K, which will be May 13th at Echo Shaw. I know many of you participated in that, and I also know that this year there's a conflict. I believe there's something going on downtown or Main Street, so we are encouraging folks to join you instead of you joining us this year. So, but we will continue to work collaboratively with that. Proceeds this year go to Cornelius Elementary, and of course we'd love for you to attend. We have a coffee chat this Friday with Representative Susan McLean and Representative Janine Solomon this Friday at Glencoe High School at 4. And OEA, our state locals, have helped to craft a paragraph that was sent out, I believe, either tonight or tomorrow to all members to their home email, encouraging them to reach out to legislators with the ask around funding schools. So we definitely are supporting that. Around the bond, as president of the HEA, I want you to know I will put in as much time as you put in. I believe that we need to continue to work together. So, you put in 5 hours, not all of you, but, 5 hours, I'll put in 5 hours. So, and I know that many, many members will do that too, because we know how important this is. And then I need to say something about class size. I understand the desire to fight for a program that you've been involved in, and one that works. And I too have seen successes when TOSAs and coaches can work together collaboratively with the gen ed teachers in the classroom, supporting students and students that are at risk. And when teachers can work together, I think by definition that is co-teaching, and it does reduce class size. And I believe that to be important. I do believe that 20 students versus 40 is a big, huge difference. I would challenge anyone in this room to ask a teacher who has had 40 students what that looks like, and that class size doesn't matter. There's many articles with research. Tennessee and Wisconsin have demonstrated that students are assigned to smaller class sizes in the lower grades that actually achieve higher scores in tests. They receive better grades. The Institute of Education Sciences of the arm of the United States Department of Ed has concluded that class reduction is one of 4 reforms that have proven to increase student achievement through rigorous randomized experiments. It's the gold standard of research. I truly believe I had the opportunity to teach 17 and 18 first graders. I'm in a different state, and I taught them all how to read. And they say it's not bragging if you can back it up. And I truly believe that class size does make a huge difference. It makes a difference with classroom management, the one-on-one. We know how important it is, that one-on-one time that kids need and deserve. And I can go on and on and on, but I encourage you to do your own research, because I truly believe that class size does matter. Thank you.
All right, just a few things. First of all, I had the opportunity just on accident to be at the first book event that Devin was talking about. And it was pretty great seeing parents there with their kids and just getting a handful of books that they got to take with them. So thanks to HCU for that project. It was a great project, so appreciate it. Look forward to seeing it elsewhere in the community. Tonight we voted on a number of different things. So we voted on the science adoption. We heard from Greg on the big picture item, the bond advisory committee. And those are events that within a board meeting it takes like 10 minutes. But behind the scenes, like the science adoption, that's a 2-year process. Greg O'Meara has been working on this for a couple of years now. Bond advisory has been going since October. So I just want the opportunity to thank all of the staff members that have been coordinating that work, because I know it takes a ton of shepherding along the way. So thank you for your efforts on that. Also, while I see Miriam is in the back here, and she's wondering why in the heck are you mentioning my name? But she recently did a presentation to our principals and to our administrative team. And it was all around a mentoring program, and how you go about building a deliberate mentoring program that's going to help students. And it's much more than just asking an adult, hey, you want to mentor a kid? It's not that at all. It's much more data-driven than that. And so I just want to thank you publicly for your efforts. I know when we have programs like that, it makes a difference for individual students and collectively in our community. So while you're here, I just wanted to thank you publicly. Thanks for that work. All right.
Kim?
I have just a couple of things. Same thing. Thanks to everybody on the bond committee. Adam put in countless hours behind the scenes to that, and especially at the end when we were down to crunch time and had pulling fingers and had to do the puzzle pieces of that. And I just appreciate how much time you invested in that. It feels so different than the last time I was involved. And to see that whole large committee and how many people are involved in this work and care about this community is awesome. And to the team who's been working on the science adoption for forever. That's just, it's super exciting to know that we're making progress there. And I was looking for Sandy too. Stay through the vote, that was good. I got to do 2 cool things last week. One was the reading restaurant at Imlay Elementary. It was the same time as a coffee chat, so sorry for missing the coffee chat. But I had been before when it was set up, but when there were not children. If you get invited to go, I highly encourage it. The library is turned into a restaurant. The students are dressed in waiter attire, and they come out with their tray. These are second graders who've been working really hard to accomplish their ability to read a book from start to finish out loud over the course of the school year. So they started with an appetizer, which is a poem. They read you your 3 entree choices, which are 3 books that they will give you a brief description of. And you select the book you would like for your entree, and they bring that back and read you your entree, and your dessert is a couple of jokes that were all very big puns. It was just super fun, and it was cool. The teacher who invited me said while she's been teaching she just continued to say a very, very, very long time. She wasn't close to a very long time, but she insisted. So this was the most impactful thing that she has done as a teacher, and she really loved the event. And the other thing I got to do was run around and play upstairs last week with the School Foundation Phonathon and teenagers who were battling for dollars. And thank you for the district for opening your spaces and sharing your phones with these kiddos. It's an awesome fundraiser for those clubs. It's a total character builder to battle for dollars. We encouraged a lot of them to speak in character voice and take on a persona, and it worked really well. And so if you ever have a chance to do that, that's also super fun. That's it.
Thank you, Kim. I'm going to skip you. I'll come back. Is that okay? I'll put you then because you want to do the other stuff too.
No, it's fine.
I would also like to thank the staff. I think everybody up here realizes the background work that goes into all these decisions, so all our staff is really appreciated. I want to announce that Hillsboro Optimist Club will be recognizing middle school students on May 11th, two from each 7th grade class and 2 from each 8th grade level, and a teacher from each middle school. It's our student teacher appreciation. We have a world-renowned speaker that's going to be there. His name's Michael Scott. And we'll have the mariachi band there as well. So it's at Trinity Lutheran, May 11th, 6 o'clock. Come and appreciate what's going on in our middle schools.
So I'll echo the thanks that everyone said about the bond and the science adoption, of course. The thing that I just, in spite of my voice obviously going away, feel like is really to point out, and I debated whether or not to bring it up, but I think that it's really important that we not let things sort of be swept under the rug. We just voted and approved a budget for the alternative education programs in our district, which are phenomenal. I was really excited and happy to support those programs with a vote. But I want to make sure that for everyone who didn't read the packet in detail, that includes a teen parent program at Miller Education Center West and also at Century High School. That's a total of 10 teen parents in our programs, and we funded that at $150,860, which is over $15,000 per teen parent, in case you need help with division. But in May, about a year ago, we declined the opportunity to allow our school-based health center on the Century High School campus provide access to contraceptives, which would have cost us exactly $0. So we just want to make sure that everybody had that in the packet. That's all.
Okay, so I'm going to avoid that topic, although I could speak on it.
Good night.
But I wanted to echo the comments regarding being part of the bond committee and really appreciating the work that you put in behind the scenes and during the committees and putting all that together. And I'm really pleased with where we came out. It was a really good decision, and I look forward to working on that till we get it passed. That's all I have.
So a couple things I'll touch. We didn't have board discussion time upstairs, so I'll bring about my idea. But first, I want to touch on a couple things. I had the opportunity to go to Free Orchards, 3rd grade classrooms, and do career day. And this was amazing because it's amazing that you think someone says, "Oh, I'm not sure if you're going to get a lot of questions from this class," and it was like question after question after question, kids giving examples. Then they wanted a visual, like they asked me different questions about the different jobs that I hold. And one of them was about bills and how does that work? And I didn't break out in the I'm just a bill song, although I would have. But I did give them a real visual of how, sometimes it works through perfectly and sometimes where it could take a later. So, but I thought that was it was exciting to be a part of that, and wanted to reiterate what Mike had said upstairs about the importance that when you're feeling and you're seeing these impacts in your classroom, and actually I think you also mentioned that it's important that legislators, senators, state reps, governors, everyone needs to hear the story of why education is important to you and why you feel that strong investments need to be made. So it's not just your state representative, it's really widen that scope and look at the people that Speaker of the House or different folks that are really making impacts at a leadership level. So it's really important that they hear direct stories. So wanted to share also the thanks for what everyone has said too. Is it takes a village, so everything that comes together, whether it's bond, whether it's science, whatever we're talking about, it is amazing when folks really come together collectively for the greater part of our district and work hard on that. So I appreciate that. Appreciate even the mentoring program. I remember I think one of our first meetings at Career and College Pathways, I believe it was that, way early, and people were talking about how can we make improvements or make connections with students, and businesses were talking about the idea of like mentoring students, and so I just think that's fantastic, so thank you. Also, where my idea comes in, and my last point is that May 9th is National Day of the Teacher. And this is a district that we have focused razor sharp on the fact that we need to know every student by their name, strength, and need. Is that right? And so just wanting to reiterate that it does take a village, that bus drivers, everyone that these students come in contact with, make a difference in these students' lives. I remember the teachers back in the day when I was at Gales Creek Elementary, the folks that, really back in the day, don't stand here. But anyway, they make a difference. And our teachers, not only are they worried and concentrating on that effort of making sure they're providing that world-class education for their students, but they're the hug on the bad day. They're the person that sees that the trauma is happening with that student and how they can get them care. And then they work with another team member. And I just want to say that it's a day that is about talking about personal stories. Give the opportunity to send a card, send a message to that teacher, to that staff member that makes an impact for students. And with that, I would say May 9th is also our next board meeting. And what I was going to mention upstairs in the board discussion time is that I would like to suggest, and this is a discussion point, that we bring our meeting for May 9th down here, and that part of the opportunity is to allow 3 minutes. There are 11 candidates that are interested in running for school board. And I just think that it's an amazing opportunity for us to hear, not to do a question and answer, anything like that, but to have each candidate come do 3 minutes at the podium to say why they're doing this. What's their reasoning behind this? Just to be able to be in the place that they're looking to hopefully sit someday or represent the district. So I just think it's an opportunity that I would like us to explore. Give the moment to have a videotape, and have each, because I think each candidate, really deserves that time to be able to say why. And so that's my question to my peers, to ask them how they would feel about that. It would mean about a half an hour just to hear from each candidate. So 33 minutes actually, but.
So your request would be the following board meeting on May 9th?
Yeah.
Which is a work session?
It's a work session.
It's just executive session.
It's just an executive session.
Is it only?
Isn't it? Am I correct, Beth?
Oh, super.
That's the one where you're just doing my evaluation without anyone else.
So I guess that would be the question, whether you wanted to allow a portion of that time, because it is a week before election day.
Mechanics, that would probably come down here to do that. Would be the. Is there something about work session versus regular session, Val? Does it change? Does it become a regular session?
Oh.
In terms of we were inviting candidates to speak.
I would have to look into that.
And even if it did, I don't think it does, but even if it did, it would just require a 24-hour written notice, or something on the website saying that we're going to have a work session,
We wouldn't otherwise have the camera set up.
Yeah, I just don't know.
I have a personal objection. I'm wondering logistics and whether it's value. What kind of a burden, Beth, would it be on logistics? It seems like if part of the intent would be to have an opportunity for recorded statements for the community accessible on the website.
The only thing that I'm not sure about us using our resources and putting something on our website is, does that violate the whole restrictions on political activities because it is an election.
Well, I know.
Granted, you're allowing equal opportunity for people, but even still, I would probably have to check with the elections office.
I know that we've had audience time, and I know that we've heard from a candidate who shared a message. So I don't know if there would be a way, you know.
I think you're gonna have to let us look into it maybe and let you know.
Is it an opportunity that they candidates feel like they haven't had? I mean, mostly,
I have no
if
idea.
we give their own executive session plus a new thing, our audience is limited. Is it of value to
So I've
candidates?
I can tell you, I've talked to 2 candidates in the last 2 days, and I know there's been a number of opportunities where the audience participation didn't match the number of participants that were there for the candidate, so I don't know if it would be a great value. I just don't know what that is. I don't know how many people watch the video any of that.
Usually you get about 100 a month. Don't know who those 100 are, but you get
I usually watch myself a lot.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
There goes 99.
But he does it over and over.
So I'm not sure where to go with this. I also know that if we were to make that invite, and some people felt obliged to be here, candidates would kind of feel obliged to come when they were planning on it. Trying to get a feel
We
for.
have a number. We can ask them whether they even like yay or like no. See? Two high thumbs up. 2
Maybe.
1 halfway.
Kind of, sort of.
You're this or that. You're halfway too. Wow.
I'll just add, I think it's fine if some people want to do it. I think it's a good idea to sort of a forum, and I encourage the kind of excitement and involvement that we've seen. I know that there are other smaller, like special districts that do that. Like I have, people who have run for like, the Chihuahuaton Hills Parks District, and they always do like a forum within their meeting for people. So I think that it's something that we could do. Obviously, check. I'm not saying don't check, but something everybody else wants to do. I think it's a great idea. And,
Glenn and Monty feel.
Well, we're going to be here anyway, so.
I will say we have already cut the staff loose for that night, so this side of the room will be missing, and that corner will be missing.
So,
If we did something like that, I would prefer a question period from the audience and then rigorous debate opposed to just let the candidates spew.
Promise we don't have time.
sounds like sponsoring a candidate debate.
You like the idea of debate?
No, I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm saying that's not what I was saying.
That's not what I was. That's not what I was envisioning. That's why I was trying to keep it.
I'm saying that's what I'd like to see. I'm envisioning.
So I just know that each of the high schools have opened their doors to events for candidates to talk to.
But this is the ultimate place. Hey, I throw out my ideas. Some ideas stick and some don't. I get it.
I worry mainly that it's not a traditional event that the community is coming to. It would be mostly executive session. We're kind of we wouldn't have the equipment normally set up, so there'd be some extra burden to make that available. Plus, we'd have to check to see whether it is.
I didn't realize the executive part. I just look for opportunities if we want to be a real open, transparent process. I like it. I like open and transparent.
I think it is already. I don't see that we don't have transparency.
The executive session we are having is one that often does not have an end time.
It is open-ended. There'll be lots of discussion.
So that would be.
Well, it'd have to be like at the beginning
In all
and then, yeah.
transparency, I will tell you, I will not be in Hillsboro and I will be dialing in.
Transparency.
So I don't want to say, yes, you guys should all stay here extra long if I'm not here to make it. But that could be tricky not having an official start time. Can we note this for future though? I kind of like
We put it in, I would have loved to have seen like a board-sponsored, board representative night that was more involved. I think someone's telling me it's time to go. Okay, so I'm gonna say, not yet. Okay, I just getting the feel for it, I would suggest that we not try to hold that one. It's a great idea. I think we could do a better job at scheduling it next time around, and that it would be a valuable activity. Is that reasonable to everyone? Okay, not that I'm, but I think it will note that we can serve the event. With that, I just had, is that all you had? All right, I just had a couple things to get out of here. First of all, you will be receiving your links for the superintendent surveys. That email should indicate also the timeline, but I think it's something like the next week and a half. So please get that done. That will give time for Greg to roll up information and get it back to us by that meeting. So that's up. If you know any high school students out there, the next couple of weeks are the AP testing weeks. So it all comes down to this, and snow days were a big pain to them. So it's our late start calendar, by the way, but we don't have to talk about that detail again. But so go out and root for your teens and AP tests, get them to bed early. And let's see, what else? Did have a couple other things. Did have a chance, Janine and I actually went to Liberty to an event by their equity team. It's a student team that comes from all walks of life on the campus there. That they meet every week or every once a month during their lunch periods. So they dedicate their lunch and come in and talk about issues on campus, and they wanted to know more about how the board makes decisions and how it's supporting the equity effort. It was a very interesting conversation. We got to talk a lot with a bunch of different kids, and from that, one of the outcomes will likely be that they're putting together a presentation. They wanted to know how better to engage with us and give ideas. And they said, well, as it happens, the question was, do we go to them? Do they come to us? And the struggle and trade-off is always, how many kids are asking to come here? And they said, we have an idea. They're making a video. And so they're coming with a small team.
Actually, I think they reached out to Val, and I think they were going to look to come to a presentation.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that's what I'm saying. They're coming with presentation and video.
Okay. Yeah.
To kind of demonstrate directly the work. So look forward to that in the coming board meeting. But that discussion was really good. A couple shout outs, just the teams, two Hillsboro robotics teams just returned from Houston, Texas, the international championships, where the Liberty rookie team came in the top third of the field, which was amazing. And I didn't get an exact report on the Glencoe team, but they Shockwave, but they did even better.
Made to the quarterfinals of the Elite Industrial Award.
So just some really outstanding teams putting in immense work and being recognized for it. It was great. And with that was everything I wanted to talk about. Thank you all for coming. It's a pleasure serving on this great work in helping our students succeed. Gracias por estar aquí a todos. And with that, we will be adjourned.